For weeks, I thought I had to carry the burden alone. I didn't want to burden others with my pain, and honestly, I was ashamed to admit that my marriage, something I had always been proud of, was falling apart. But one night, over a quiet dinner with my brother, I broke down and told him everything. To my surprise, he didn't judge me. He just listened. For the first time, I felt truly heard, without pressure or advice. Slowly, I began to open up to a few close friends. Their reactions were right. Some were angry on my behalf, others tried to encourage forgiveness. But all of them gave me something I desperately needed, the reminder that I wasn't alone in this. My parents, though older and more traditional, also offered quiet support. My father simply said, "Son, no matter what you choose, your life isn't over. You will find your strength again." Those words stayed with me. Learning on others didn't erase the pain, but I gave me strength to keep going. I realized healing wasn't a solitary journey. Sometimes the people around us hold pieces of the strength we can't find within ourselves. The word forgiveness haunted me. Everyone seemed to have an opinion. Some said forgiveness was the only way to heal. Others said cheating was unforgivable. But deep down, I knew it wasn't about what others thought. It was about what my soul could live with. I wrestled with the idea for weeks. Could I ever look at her the same way again? Could I believe the words "I'm sorry" after the lies I had uncovered? Forgiveness, I realized, wasn't the same as forgetting. It wasn't about crushing her choices or pretending it never happened. Forgiveness was about deciding whether I wanted to carry the weight of bitterness for the rest of my life or set it down and walk forward with or without her. One evening I told her plainly, "I may never forget what you did. But if we are to have a future, forgiveness has to be real, not forced, not rushed. It will take time. And if I can't forgive, then I have to let go completely." In that moment, I wasn't choosing her, I was choosing clarity for myself. Forgiveness became less about saving the marriage and more about saving my own heart. Healing didn't come in a single moment. It came in fragments, small steps that barely seemed like progress at the time, but slowly rebuilt my life. The first was laughter. One afternoon, while catching a silly movie alone, I laughed, really laughed, for the first time in months. I felt foreign, almost wrong, but it was proof that joy hadn't completely disappeared. The second was routine. I forced myself back into hobbies I had abandoned: fishing, reading, even simple walks in the park. These little rituals gave me structure and reminded me of who I was outside the marriage. The third was peace. Not every day, but some nights I could finally sleep without waking up in a panic. That silence in my chest was a gift, proof that the storm inside me was calming. Healing wasn't perfect. There were setbacks, moments when I slipped back into anger or despair, but slowly the good days began to outnumber the bad ones. And for the first time since the betrayal, I started to believe in a future that wasn't defined by pain. For most of my life, I thought love meant loyalty, routine, and sacrifice. But betrayal forced me to question everything I believed. Was love really about holding on no matter what? Or was it about honesty, respect, and mutual growth? I started to see love differently. I realized that love couldn't exist without trust, and that relationships should add to your life, not drain the every essence of who you are. I also began to understand the self-love in a way I never had before. Loving myself meant settling boundaries, refusing to tolerate betrayal, and recognizing that I was worthy of being treated with respect. For the first time, I imagined the relationships not as two people clinging to each other out of fear, but as two individuals choosing each other every day out of genuine respect and care. Betrayal had shattered my old vision of love, but in its peace, I was building a stronger, clearer definition, one that would guide me for the rest of my life. The day came when I knew I couldn't stand in the middle anymore. I had been torn between rebuilding and walking away, but living in limbo was destroying me. It was time to choose. After weeks of reflection and counseling, I sat her down and told her my truth. I can't keep revealing the past. Either we build something entirely new with full honesty, or I move forward alone. Her tears were real, and for the first time I believed her remorse, but I also knew that words alone weren't enough. My decision wasn't about her anymore. It was about me. So I chose a new chapter. Not necessarily a new marriage, not necessarily divorce, but a new life defined by my values. I promised myself that whatever direction I look, it would be grounded in respect, honesty, and peace. That choice felt like a weight lifting from my chest. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt the future open up before me. Uncertain, yes, but mine to claim. Months passed, and slowly life began to look different. The sharp sting of betrayal softened into a dull ache, and then into something else entirely: wisdom. I started living more intentionally. I reconnected with old friends, traveled to places I had always postponed, and spent quiet evenings rediscovering myself. For the first time in years, I felt like author of my own story. My relationship with her remained complicated, but it no longer defined me. Whether we made it or not, I was no longer trapped in the identity of betrayal husband. I was a man who had faced heartbreak and chosen to rise. The biggest change is how I viewed the future. Instead of fearing it, I embraced it. I learned that betrayal may scar you, but it doesn't have to break you. Life after betrayal isn't about going back to who you are. It's about becoming someone stronger, wiser, and freer. Looking back, I realized the betrayal was not the end of my story. It was the beginning of a new one. It broke me, yes, but it also forced me to rebuild myself piece by piece, stronger than before. If you're going through something similar, here is what I want you to know. Your worth is not defined by someone else's choices. You are whole, even when someone fails you. Healing takes time. Don't rush it. Allow yourself to feel every emotion, even the ugly ones. Choose your future deliberately. Whether you forgive, rebuild, or walk away, make this decision for yourself, not because of pressure or fear. You are not alone. Millions of people have walked this path, and sharing your story can be the first step toward healing. Betrayal hurts, but it doesn't have to define you. One day, you'll look back and see not just the pain, but the strength you discovered within yourself. And maybe, just maybe, you will realize that the end of one chapter is the start of the most important one of all, the chapter where you truly become yourself.